Welcome, Mike Arce.
Thank you. I like how she had to look at her phone. I've been here 13 times now. I've spoken here, but you're just so efficient. You're not going to miss a beat. Thank you guys very much for coming out and obviously the talk today. This is actually a different talk than I normally do. Normally the talks that I've done have been on lead generation and marketing and advertising. And today I was asked to speak on company culture and really developing a great group of people that can help take your organization farther than you could with, I guess, a lack of that culture. And I have spent a lot of time on that, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And I also want you guys to know that it was an issue for me for years. And so if you guys are having issues or you feel like it's not where you need it to be, I don't want you to think like you either got it or you don't, or your industry is either got it or it doesn't. It's not like that. I've had to get some really great coaches and mentors. I'm going to share a lot of what I learned from them and different books that I've read and courses that I've taken that, made a huge difference in not just the business, but my life. Because, you surround yourself around these people all day, every day, and it's important that you enjoy that, not as much as they do. So we're going to go around the room real quick, and I'm just going to kind of get to know you guys a little bit. And so I'm going to ask you just your name, your company, the main service you provide, and how many employees you have. And when I ask the main service you actually do, I know there's like a lot of books out there that say like state your why, and it becomes like a 50-second deal. So like we change lives by saving dolphins, and it's like we don't need all that. Just like landscaping, right, or plumbing, and I'll kind of get it. And I know everyone here is here to make a better place, right, or make the world a better place. Okay, so go ahead.
Cool. Hi guys, my name is Amanda. My sister and I own a hot air balloon company called Hot Air Expeditions. We have about 50 employees, most are part-time.
Okay, 15 employees?
50.
50,
Mm-hmm.
Nice, good job.
My name is Carrie, and I work for Swing Orthopedic and Sports Physical Therapy, and we specialize in physical therapy.
Great. How many employees?
20.
20, okay.
My name is Amneris. I have a paint contracting company that I run with my husband, and we have about 12 employees.
12 employees. And Amiris?
I'm sorry?
Amiris?
Amneris,
Amiris?
My name is Natalie, and I work in the office with Amneris.
Oh, okay. So Natalie and Amiris work together. Okay, cool.
My name is Andy, and I do promotional specialties and printing and make unique pens. Actually, I have 2 employees.
Okay, very cool. And so we're just going around. Just say your name, the name of your company, and what you do, and the service. Or, I'm sorry, and the amount of employees.
James Garnane, High Tech Car Care. I raised 2 boys and 7.
7 employees. Okay.
My name is Nancy Eileen. We do landscaping, and we have 3 employees.
Joe Gallen, I'm the CFO of Republic Bank AZ, community bank specializing in small and medium-sized businesses, about 200 yards, if I'm guessing, about that way. We're 17 employees.
Cool. So it's not a far drive for you to get here.
No.
It was Joe? Joel?
Angela Whitney, I'm also with Republic Bank, but I'm on the compliance side, and I'm one of the 17 employees.
That didn't have a far drive either.
I got to ride.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. Alaman Rodriguez. I do customer service consulting, which is basically customer retention, and I have 2 part-time employees.
Okay. And what was the name? Alaman?
Alaman Rodriguez.
Alaman?
Alaman, yes, sir.
It's a cool name.
Okay, thank you.
Nicole, I'm with Republic Bank AZ as well, and I'm the deposit operations manager.
Deposit operations. Okay.
I'm Amy Blunt, and I'm the Chief Credit Officer at Republic Bank AZ, and I'm the one who drove.
Oh. Well, thank you for spending the gas. All right. So everyone is great. I just need to know, what's the first name again?
Jim.
Jim. Okay. So before we kind of get started on things, I definitely want to let you guys know where I kind of, why I spend so much time learning about what you guys are here to learn about today. And it's actually really cool that you guys are here to learn it, because this is something that out of all the things that I've improved on in my business, out of all the things that I've worked on, because there's a lot of things when you grow your business, right? You got to learn the customer service aspect. Everyone thinks they're good at customer service until you realize you're not, and you get complaints and people start complaining. So customer service, there's sales, there's marketing, there's advertising, there's finance, there's PR, there's operations, there's so many different things. And I named like 6 things, but all those things are monster things, right? It's not like, oh, sales, easy. Oh, marketing, easy. No, marketing's like a project. That's a huge thing, and it's it's like a process. It's not like, oh, okay, we got a marketing plan, done. No, it's not the way it works. So we have all these giant things to work on. And then you have company culture. And, at first, when I first heard about culture and, that kind of stuff, I thought it was like a hokey pokey thing. I'm thinking Google and ping pong tables and arcade games. And I'm like, look, you're here to work. I grew up, my parents are immigrant parents. And I grew up with the mindset of just work. Like you go to work to work. You have fun when you're out of work and you work hard so you can have more fun when you leave. That was it. And that's kind of the way I worked when I was an employee. And I've had 22 different jobs by the time I turned 27. I worked at 22 different people wrote a paycheck to me. And, I would say I probably wasn't the greatest employee. And I don't think it's because of anything other than a very conflicting way I was brought up and raised. I came from a family of people that speak their mind and also like to add value. And I felt like the places that I chose to work in, I didn't have the opportunity to, like my voice didn't matter. And when I did have ideas, it was almost like brushed along. And so I just kind of I never was interested. And so I just kept moving. It was very easy. It was like for an extra $1 an hour, or for extra $5 an hour, or a higher commission rate or whatever, I would just keep moving. Then I started Loud Rumor, and I started Loud Rumor for reasons we don't need to get into today. I think you've heard the story, but there's reasons I had to start this company. I think my story is no more unique than a lot of yours probably, where maybe you had to do it, and it was hard in the very beginning, and you fought through some struggles that are inspiring to some others, but to most other entrepreneurs, they all have their story, and you're not unique in the entrepreneurial world. That's what I learned. You're unique in everyone else's world. And so here's my history with culture. The first 5 years of my business, I should say the third, fourth, and fifth year, because the first 2 years, it was really just my wife and my cousin, and I really didn't feel like culture was whatever. Like we just worked. I mean, my wife was with me, right? Like I don't have to worry about her quitting, right? And I couldn't fire her, obviously, that would never happen. She'd just come back the next day. So there was no culture focus. And then the third year, we hired our first employee that was not my wife or my cousin. And still not really a huge need for culture. We hired a next person. And then I started learning that, I was a natural born leader. But it was, there's people that are good at something. You're genetically built to do something. There's a lot of people out there like LeBron James that never developed skill around their natural God-given talents and became nothing. LeBron James, Michael Jordan, they went to training camps, they did their drills, they had coaches, they had mentors. All year long, they were in different leagues and challenging leagues, and they took their talents and turned it into a profitable skill, right? There's a lot of people out there that were born maybe even more gifted than some of these guys we never even hear of. With me, I was born with the natural interest and desire to lead and motivate. The problem was I carried the development that I had in sports. I was always in sports, in basketball and martial arts. I used to travel, 3-time Arizona State champ, two in sparring and 1 in form. And the way you motivate athletes is very different, because athletes are generally competitive in nature, especially as you get into a higher level. They're very competitive. And so you don't need to have conversations with athletes. You just need to tell them to get their shit together, and they just do it, right? And am I allowed to, I won't say that anymore, I'm sorry. Okay. Can I say it one more time though? So the GSD show, it actually stands for Get Shit Done. That's the name of my show. And we believe it. And if you follow us, you'll notice I wear GSD shirts all the time. I'm not wearing it today because they're t-shirts, and I felt like I wanted to dress up for you guys a little more than just a t-shirt today. But I believe in that. So anyway, the way I was motivating my athletes, the people that I was, when I was captain of a team or when I was instructing, it was very different. When I got to employees, I learned that I sucked as a leader. I had turnover issues. People were quitting 3-4 months into the job. I was firing people 2, 3, 4 months into the job. I had no patience with people. The way I was raised, right? You guys remember the way I was raised? You work. That's it. We don't complain. We don't whine. We don't cry. You come into work, you get your shit done, you go home. That's it. This is how I said it 3 times. That's it. Sorry. It's hard because that's our motto. And so I promise you I will say stuff from now on. I will pretend my son's in the room. We get our stuff done and we go home. Like, that's it. I don't want to hear it. You know what you have to do. You come and you do it. The problem is you can make people want to work and you can make people have to work. And when you make people have to work, it's a very different type of work effort. And what I notice is when you make people have to work, they will work hard when you're around. It's kind of like, how do you drive when there's a cop around you? Right? How many people would you say out of 100, how many people, random people, out of 100, would you say are below good drivers? Out of 90, right? But how many of those 90 are good drivers when a cop's right next to them? Right? And so what I realized was I didn't want to have to be right next to them all the time, but that happens when they don't care, right? How are you? That happens when they don't care. When you care, they drive differently. And so I wanted people to be able to give me more than what I thought they had to give. And so you take Sam's a great example. Sam right here, he does all of our video work. In the last year, he's created over 1,000 videos, like filmed and produced, edited over 1,000 videos. It's like 3 a day average, including weekends. Now, he doesn't work weekends necessarily all the time, I guess. Sometimes he does, because he loves his job. But Sam came straight out of college, 22 years old, and produces what I would say is the best visual podcast I've ever seen. But Sam has freedom, and Sam works because he wants to, and he gets ideas that are implemented. He came to me the other day. He goes, hey, I got a really great idea. I think if, basically in our show, there's a little thing that pops up like maybe every 15 minutes or 10 minutes that tells you when the next show is, right? 10 o'clock. He's like, I want you to hold up this green poster and I want you to just come up and do this and then wave and then come back down. And I was like, okay, I didn't even know why. I just said, yeah, sure, I get it. I went and I did the thing, and now he used the green screen effect, and you see me pop up, and I do this, and it's pretty cool. It looks really great. And so for Sam gets what I always wish I had. Like, I had things like that I always wanted to share. I never got to implement them. And the great thing is when you allow that to happen, they come up with more ideas, and they get better at coming up with ideas. It's like a muscle. Your creativity sucks when you first start, but then as you practice creativity and as you have freedom to be creative, you get more creative faster, more uniquely, in different ways. And you actually inspire those around you to be more creative. And everyone starts finding it, and it's incredible. So ultimately, going back again, my leadership skills were way below subpar. It was bad. And I didn't know that it was me that was the problem. What I was saying is, I can't find good people out there. I can't find people that want to work hard. Everyone wants to take the easy way out. Everyone wants to leave at 5. Everyone just, does the bare minimum to not get in trouble. And I just want people to work hard. They see me working hard. I tell them how hard I'm working. They see I'm working till 1 in the morning. They see I'm up at 5 in the morning. And they want to check in at 9 and they want to leave at 5. They want to take a full hour lunch, 2 breaks for 15 minutes on the dot. And they don't miss that. They'll miss deadlines, but they don't miss 5 o'clock, right? I hated that. But that was like the worst attitude because it was my fault. So I ended up going up to this guy, David Berg. David was this guy that I was introduced to. He kind of like was an assigned mentor through this program I just joined. David had over 200 employees, and he was an amazing leader. And I knew that because one of the employees was my cousin. And she said that everyone there loves and respects Dave. And they follow him, and they're inspired by him, and they work harder. And I see the way she works. She'll go home and she'll work on stuff. She comes up with ideas for the company. And so I went up to Dave. I'm like, dude, how do you do this? I have like 4 employees at the time. I have like 4 employees, and I can't get these guys to show up on time. They'll show up 5 minutes late with a Starbucks in their hand. You know, they had time to do that, and they'll leave like 5 minutes. They'll start packing up at 5 minutes early, you know, so they can leave on time. And he started making me realize that, you know, leadership is more, it's a skill you have to actually learn. You can have some raw talent like LeBron James does, but you have to actually develop strategy and skill around it. You have to look at it from different angles. You know, different people see the same thing differently. And, you know, I can look at this bottle of water and I can say, man, that looks really refreshing right now if I'm thirsty. But if I just drank the whole gallon of water, I'm like, no way. Somebody may look at that and say, I'll never drink that water. That's below my standards. Another person may say, dude, water's water. I'll drink it, right? Everyone, you see that, right? Everyone will look at different things, different experiences, different genetic makeup, different motivations, different goals will all make up a way that one person responds versus somebody else. And on top of that, the more employees you hire, the higher your game has to go. When you have 2, 3 employees, that's a very different type of leader than when you have 8, 10. When you have over 10 employees, that's a very different type of leader. And you keep going. And you take like a sports team as an example. You know, let's say a basketball team, you have a captain of the basketball team. He's a player. When you have a few employees, you're still a player in the business, right? If you have 3, 4 employees, I think you have 3, you said, you're still a player in the business. You're answering phones, talking directly to customers, doing some customer service issues, maybe messing around the books. You're still very much on the court, right? But you're leading them. You're the captain. You're not the coach yet. The coach can't get on the court. He doesn't go, screw this, I'm going to show you guys. He doesn't do that, right? The coach has to make sure they get it done. He can't step on the court. But when you're the captain, when you're still small, you can talk to them differently. You talk to them as a peer almost. You can kind of have that relationship. But as a coach, you have to let the captain have that relationship, right? You can't take that away from them. Otherwise, they have no desire to be a leader. They're just everybody else with a title. That doesn't mean anything. And these guys get inspired by the captains because peer-to-peer inspires better in certain cases than coach to teammate. Does that make sense to you guys? So think of it yourself on a sports team. Coach tells you to do something. That's very different than another player coming up to you and saying, hey, Andy, look, man, coach tells us to do this. I know this sucks, but we got to win this. We're 2 games away from making the playoffs. Let's just give it everything we got. That means more to you than the coach or the general manager of the team or the owner of the organization, right? Because you think these guys have different intent. They want to win maybe because of money. They want to win maybe because it helps them with their status as a owner or as a general manager. But when it comes from the player, we have the same result if we win this, right? So when you're the captain of a team, very different. When you become the coach, you got to get a captain. You can't be the captain and the coach. I think a lot of people fall short there. I did too. I wanted to be the coach and I wanted to be the captain, and that doesn't work. So I have captains on my team. Sarah's a captain and Rob is a captain. And one of them is a captain of the generation team, meaning she's in charge of growing my company, marketing, advertising, sales. And then Rob is in charge of making sure that everything they said we do, the operations, the fulfillment. And these guys are the captains. And I don't know if the players are doing their job unless I talk to the captain. The captain and I have a conversation. The captain and I have a conversation because the moment I start talking to the players, the captain doesn't want to be a captain anymore, or he doesn't know what a captain is. He stops being a great captain. He's basically a player with a title, and no one respects him as a captain, and he doesn't even respect himself as a captain. And whenever he's got an issue, he comes and talks to me instead of stepping up like a captain and telling the team what they should be doing. Does that make sense? Now, I'm at the point now where I'm transitioning to owner. Now, of course, I'm title owner. I've been title owner since it was just me, but transitioning towards owner where now I'm even having a coach. And the coach runs the organization, and the 2 captains report to the coach, and it goes from there. And I only have communications with the coach and make sure that I let him come up with the plays. I let him come up with new ideas, new systems, new reasons why we should succeed and why we shouldn't succeed. And I have to trust him. I can't step on his toes, or else what happens to the coach? He's basically a player with a title, and no one wants to listen to the coach. Who do all the players start coming to? Right? So what I'll tell you is all this stuff sounds like, okay, kind of common sense, but it was very hard to implement because you have habits and you need to develop habits. And in the beginning, it's inauthentic. I was very inauthentic, and I can tell my employees didn't buy into a lot of the things I was doing. So I didn't probably have to do this, but I felt like I did. I cleaned house and just hired new. Looking back at it, I could have done that differently, but I was so inexperienced in all this because I was just learning it. Here are the things that I'll tell you right now, the number one book that I've ever read on leadership, and the book I've read probably 4 times, and I continue to read it, and I get my leaders to read it, my captains, my coaches. It's a prerequisite. You can't be a coach unless you read this book. It's Multipliers. It's the best book on leadership I've ever read in my life. And the great thing about it that I love is that it was written by a woman. And the reason I say that is because I think there's still that stigma out there. I don't believe in it, but in fact, my main leader is a woman in the company, Sarah. But I think there's that stigma. Some women, not all, have a hard time leading men. There's like limiting belief that they won't listen to me because I'm a woman. Not all women have that. You guys may not. You're entrepreneurs. I'm sure you guys don't. But you can see how some women have that limiting belief, right? And I don't think as many men have it as women do, but it exists. The fact that this book was written by a woman is fantastic. And she actually gives some really great examples of women leaders, male leaders, and it's just the whole book is just example after example after example of what one leader does versus another. And does anybody here watch Shark Tank or ever watch a Shark Tank episode? Okay, who would you guys say is probably like the person that you would say is like the best leader there? If you had to pick one to like be the CEO of your company for like 3 months to put it in a whole different position, who would you guys choose?
I forget the names, but one of the 2 women.
Lori?
Yeah, Lori or the real estate.
Yeah, I remember. Connie, Carol, Barbara. Barbara, okay. Who else?
I like Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban? Okay. So let's say you own a company of 50 employees. If Mark Cuban came up to you and said, hey, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to be the CEO for 90 days of your company, turn it around, and then give it back to you in better shape than you gave it to me in for free. Would you take that deal?
Yes.
Why?
Well, and I guess you probably need to believe in yourself more.
No,
Because
I would take the deal.
Well, and I think he's proven in his past that he's capable of doing something like that.
Mm-hmm. Would you guys take the deal? Free? Mark Cuban wants to come in and be the CEO of your company for 90 days? Good deal, right? So what that proves is leadership. It doesn't have. I don't need to know landscaping. I don't need to know promotional products. I don't necessarily need to know banking. I just need to know how to lead and how to get people to follow, respect, and want to work harder than what they thought they did at other jobs, right? And that's it. And we know that. So the way we look at things, we have meetings regularly. And in the theme of most of our meetings when we want to be better is how do we put ourselves out of business? What I mean by that is if another company was going to open up down the street, do exactly what we do in every which way, price point, skill, style, all that, and they were going to put us out of business, what would they have to do to make that happen? Let's do that. And we focus on what can we do to put our sales. What would another company have to do in sales to triple our sales next month? Let's do that. If the company down the road got to service some of our clients, and our clients said, hey, I really do like you guys, but I got to keep working with them. They're just so great. What would make that happen? Let's do that. And I've learned when I look at a third party, I'm competitive. I think most people are competitive. Even if you're not like fully competitive, like the most competitive person, there is competitiveness. Think about if you have a sports team that you like and somebody says that sports team sucks, all of a sudden the competitive drive. Even people that are iPhone versus Droid people, oh, Apple sucks. Watch competitiveness come out, right? Little things like that. Or your kids. Oh, little Jimmy was so funny and he's so great at school. Oh, Cindy too. And now we're competing whose kids are better or worse. Oh, Jimmy's such a pain in the butt. I can't get him to do anything. Oh, Cindy's even worse. I can't. It's like no matter what, we're competing all the time. We all have that competitive nature. And so I think sometimes when we just say, how can we make our service better? Or how can we make our employees happier? Or how can we make our sales work better? It's not as effective as, what would another company have to do to be better than us? What would they have to do? I don't know why. I don't get the science or the psychology behind it. But me and all my coaching clients and my employees, we come up with ideas better and faster and execute it with that mindset. So same thing with employees. If my employees got a chance to work at my company and another company for a month, what would that other company have to do for my employees to go, I got to keep working there. It's just cooler. It's just better. I feel like I have a better chance to succeed there. What would I have to do? What would they have to do to get that to happen? Okay, let's do that. So what I would say is know where you're at in your company. Right now, are you a player? Like right now, you're kind of player, right? 2 employees. Player, maybe a little bit of a captain in there. Player, captain. You're probably at the point where you're coach. You should have captains, right? For sure.
Captain coach.
You shouldn't be with 50 employees. You shouldn't be on the court at all. Every time you're on the court, no one's coaching. No one's watching the stats, and no one's developing captains. The reason it's called multipliers is because the best leaders develop leaders, not followers. And your job is to develop leaders. Nobody says, I don't want to have a leadership quality. No one says that. Some people may say, I don't really want to be a leader, but usually the people that say that, it's because they don't think maybe I have what it takes to be a leader. But there's nobody that's insulted or upset about somebody saying, I don't know what it is about Andy, but he's just a natural leader. If you heard that, I don't care who you are, you're never like, I hate that he sees that in me. You know, right? Like we all want to look like we have leadership qualities. Would you agree with that? So even if they are employees and they don't have employees to lead yet, develop them as leaders early, because you never know if you're going to need them to lead one day. You never know who will shine once you give them the flashlight. You never know who will actually shine pretty bright. And at that point, you might be pretty surprised. Sam's a great example. I hired Sam. Truthfully, he had the job. He would have had to mess up the interview because his cousin I liked and respected, and he referred Sam, said he's great. Sam had the job before he even interviewed. It was pretty much done. I trusted his cousin that much. Sam came in simply as a logo designer. That was it. Or like a landing page logo, no video. And he's like, I really like to do video. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not what we need right now. I didn't need that right now. And then I watched Sam and I watched the way he worked and his ability to stay system and create new systems to be more efficient. And then I started going, okay, I got to give this guy what he really wants to do. And then we start meeting. Sam and I get a chance I actually talk with Sam probably more than anybody else in the team, only because I take him with me everywhere. Everywhere I travel to go do talks or conferences and stuff like that, Sam follows me. And right now we're documenting this because I know that my clients who are entrepreneurs could learn from this too, right? You guys are here for a reason. Why wouldn't they get it? And might as well hook them up. So whenever I see that, we like to create content as much as we can. But Sam goes everywhere with me. And it's good to learn, like, what do you really want to do? And then when you give them those opportunities and you talk to them a lot about leadership, you get opportunities to see them grow. Kelsey over there, Kelsey on the way here, we had to talk about that, right? With Kelsey, we were driving here, we drove together, and right now, she's a player. She's not a captain, she's not a coach, she's a player in our company right now. Right? And started, 5 months ago? Something like that. And, she, like most people that are getting into a new industry, into a new business, new style, just came out of college, your first job. She has her challenges. Don't act like you didn't. would you guys hire yourselves the first day that you started your company? Right? I mean, think about have you guys ever looked back at ideas that you had when you first started and you're like cringe at your ideas? Or you looked at your workflow and your efficiency and you cringed at the way you used to work? Do you guys ever do that? Yeah, I'm lucky that I have videos. I recorded like a lot. My first coaching session I have recorded with my coach. And I just watched it like a month ago. I'm getting goosebumps now. I just watched it like a month ago, and I remember watching it with my wife, and I had to turn it off halfway. I was embarrassed. I was disgusted by my whole concept of how things should be in my business. And so I understand that if I'm like that, I have to give these people opportunity to be like that too. But today it was like, hey, look, Kelsey's challenge right now, she's hard worker, super hard worker, all day, beginning to end, working, busy. But what I'm noticing is her systems aren't as efficient as I know they could be. So busy doesn't equal productive. Would you guys agree with that? You guys ever see the people that are like, oh, I'm a great multitasker, and they go to this, 30%, go to this, 50% done, and everything's kind of half-assed done, but nothing ever gets fully done? Would you agree they're busy? Would you agree they're hardworking? Here's the truth. Have you guys heard that multitasking is a BS word? You heard that? You know where it came from? Does anybody know where multitasking came from? That word didn't exist. Like people in the 50s didn't use the word multitasking. Did you know that? Multitasking came from computers. Computers were able to run two programs effectively at the exact same time, like a clock and an application like Word. And so you could multitask on a computer. And somebody decided to call themselves a multitasker, and it kind of went from there. And now people brag about being multitaskers. Here's the thing, you can't do two real conscious things at the same time. We're not computers. We could do a subconscious thing and a conscious thing, driving and talking on the phone and somehow getting to your house without focusing on your turns, right? Because you have your muscle memory, your body knows where to go. But could you talk and listen at the same time?
Probably not.
Natalie, could you read and listen at the same time? Could you read what's on your paper right now and still hear everything I'm saying?
Yes.
Really? Go ahead and read it. I want you to read everything right now, out loud. I want everyone to hear it. So go ahead, keep it. So in the meantime, I really want to focus on calculus. And calculus is, to me, the opposite of algebra, because algebra is more using letters, and calculus. Can you stop real quick?
Calculus, algebra.
Well, repeat. So you got 2 words out of that?
Pretty much.
Okay. Now tell me what you read. No, don't look at your paper.
Just what you had stated.
Yeah, but tell me what you read.
The meetings about how the business.
Are you going back and remembering what you wrote before? Or are you remembering what you literally just said? What do you guys think? Do you think she really focused on what she read and my talking 100%?
I think you have a bit of a handicap because you're a guy. I think women have much closer connection with the ability to multitask. Not saying that they can do it, but a guy can't even drink beer and watch TV at the same time.
No, and I appreciate the flattery, but this has been proven. This isn't an opinion. This isn't my idea. You cannot do 2 conscious things well. You could do I could wash the dishes and have a conversation. I can't have a conversation and fully listen to what's on the TV. I can't. Have you guys ever read, you're reading, and then you're thinking about something and you realize you haven't read anything? Like you haven't even absorbed what was on your paper? Women too? Or is that just me? And you have to go back and read those pages again. But your eyes were reading it. Would you agree you read those words? But what happened? Why'd you have to go back? You can't do both. 2 conscious thoughts can't be done. You could do several subconscious things. I could walk, chew gum, dribble a basketball, and breathe. That's easy. But the moment I have to have a conversation with somebody and at the same time read this, I can't. I'm done. You agree with that? Yes? So I think some people hear multitasking and think of that as a skill set. It's not a skill set. As soon as I see somebody bragging about multitasking, I get nervous, my red flags are up, because I feel like there's a person that's never going to get one thing done before moving on to the next thing. They like to do like this. And to me, that's not the most effective thing. Kelsey, what did we talk about? You need to slow down to speed up. Right? You ever hear the term measure twice, cut once? Would it take longer to measure twice than to measure once? But why do we measure twice? Because if you measure once and you mess up, now what happens? Does it take longer if you mess up? Is your likelihood of messing up on that cut go up? Yes. And so if you do mess up and your likelihood's up and you know that, and you do mess up, now what happens? You got to go back to square one, measure again, maybe even get new material, slow down, speed up. And sometimes employees are not effective, not because they don't want to be, but because they haven't been trained yet, just like we weren't when we started our businesses and we were doing things in a way that we wouldn't do them today. Would you guys agree? Would you guys say you're more efficient and effective as an asset to your company today than you were 3 years ago, the day you started it? So Multipliers is a great book. I would also recommend Simon Sinek, any of his books, but Starts With Why and Great Leaders Eat Last. Leaders Eat Last. Leaders Eat Last. Man, two great books. And then another great book that's important for company culture, because this taught me that I was thinking very wrong about the way a good team should run. It's Overcoming the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. You read that book? Oh, because there are. The main dysfunction that I withheld from happening was conflict. I didn't want anybody arguing. Just get along, please, just get along. And then I realized that the best teams need to have conflict, sometimes even heated arguments. Because if they don't, they probably don't even care that much. You know, now I don't want heated arguments because you're mad that you didn't get to work, you had to work today, and this guy didn't have to work. That's a stupid argument, right? It's irrelevant. But I'm talking about one person has an idea, the other person has a other idea to go get to the same goal, and one person believes so much that this will work really well, the other one believes this one will work really well, and they both have compelling arguments. I like to sit back and watch that. It's really exciting to watch because they're bought in. If you didn't care, would you argue? Right? If you were full, would you care about that last slice of pizza? Like if you were stuffed, would you care about that last slice of pizza? No, you don't care. Therefore, you're not even going to argue. You're going to be like, dude, have it. Cheers. But what if you're starving and you've been smelling the pizza and it's your cheat day and you haven't had pizza in 6 months, there's 1 slice left and I already had 2. You want that, right? You care about it. Therefore, you're going to step up. You're going to find a way to get there. When you care, you work harder for what you want. And you work harder to get the result. When you don't care, you can care less. You go, man, whatever. So I actually encourage it. I like to have these meetings, and I like to sit back and watch them go. And I'll stop it if it ever gets crazy, but it never really does, because part of having a great culture is making sure that everyone on the team also really likes and respects each other. And if I know that you really care about your job, and I know that you really care about this company, and I know you really care about the customers, and so do I, then I don't lose respect for you. Where I lose respect is where you're wanting to come up with an idea, and I don't even think you care. I'm like, dude, why do you, like, you left early. You took off 3 days last week. You said you were sick, and we know we saw you on Facebook jet skiing. Right? You come in late with your Starbucks and you're arguing with me about an idea. I'm working 8-10 hours a day every day and you're arguing with me. Like that's when I'm mad. But when two people really care, there's a respect in the argument. It never crosses the line. You got to get them there. Leadership is definitely one thing that I would say out of all the things that I've had to learn, and I've spent over $50,000 in coaching in the last 3 years. Coaches can be expensive, especially the better you get. I spent over $50,000 in coaching. I've now read over 250 books, not just on leadership, but like in general. I'm part of 2 main organizations, Entrepreneur Organization, Accelerator, and I travel to about 10 conferences a year. I would say some of them I speak at, some of them I just attend. And because I know that my job as a CEO is to learn how to be a better owner and how to develop all these different things. And I'll send some of my teammates, my captains and my coaches to conferences, or I'll bring them along. Talk about multipliers. Okay, so the best way to make sure that you have a great employee is to be great from the beginning. So let's see, where's Nancy? Nancy. Okay. Let's say you and I were pretty good friends. Good enough friends to where I came up to you and I said, hey, Nancy, I'm having a real hard time right now with certain things in my life, and I was just wondering if it's cool if I crash with you for a few days. My wife and I just not get along. Would you be cool with me crashing for a couple days? If we're good friends, right? Not me now, but I know you don't know me. You're probably like, dude, that's weird. I'm saying if we're good friends, right? Would you be okay with me staying there for a couple days? Yeah, okay. So now, let's say I just said, hey, Nancy, is it cool if I crash for a couple days? You say, yeah. And then I'm watching TV on your couch and you go, hey, do you want to go get some food? I'm like, no, I'm okay. And then you come up later, you go, hey, there's a really good movie on TV. You want to watch this? And I go, no, I'm okay. Thank you. And then you keep coming by, and over the 3 days, it's like you keep wanting to start conversation with me, and I keep brushing you off. Over time, the average person's going to get a little annoyed. Like, come on, man, you're in my house, helping you out. And now, what if I start the conversation differently? Say, hey, Nancy, same thing. Is it cool if I crash at your house? Yeah. And hey, for the next 3 days, I have to work on a lot of things, and I have a lot of thinking to do. I'm probably not gonna be very talkative. I'm going through a tough time. And is it cool if I just don't communicate a lot, or if I sit? I may just honestly just keep to myself for 3 days. I just really need to focus. Is that okay? Is that okay? What would you guys say? Now the expectation's set that I plan on keeping to myself, that I plan on not being talkative, that I got a lot to think about. I got a lot on my mind, and I really can't have distractions. Now that same action can be okay. Would you guys agree? Yeah. Expectations are extremely important in a relationship development, because without proper expectations, two people will see the exact same thing differently, when you should see the exact same thing the exact same way in order for you guys to play together on the same page. So my interview process has a few different things. Number one, we do what's called DISC assessments. Have you guys ever heard of DISC assessments? No? D-I-S-C. And I don't know exactly. I know D is dominant, I is, I think, influencer, S is something, C is calculative, I think. But basically, everybody has these four qualities, these four types of qualities. One of them is like domineering, right? Like I just, GSD, right? Like I just want to get stuff done, and I have a little bit of maybe of an ego. Not to say that I'll express it, right? But I feel a sense of pride, and it's important to me that things get done. And usually a lot of entrepreneurs are very high in the D, okay? Then there's I. A lot of entrepreneurs are also very high in the I, and that's your social ability, your ability to influence and have a conversation. So let's get Amy. Is it Amy? Where's Amy? Amy, come on up here. Or Amy, come on up here. So if Amy and I were at an event and we're talking, and if we're talking like this, and then Andy, why don't you come up and just kind of, Andy, come on up. And why don't you just come up and pretend you're just wanting to join the conversation. So we're talking, we're having a regular conversation, and Andy walks up, okay? What an I would do is what I just did, open up, right? Naturally. Now, most entrepreneurs have this. How many of you guys would open up? Naturally. Now, a lot of the S's and C's, they get a little nervous, and they start to do like this a little bit, and it's very different. S's and C's also don't like this, okay? But an I will do that. An I will be like this, and they'll like come over and they'll say something like that. Whereas when you do that to an S or a C, they'll be like a little bit like, come on, easy. There's space here. There's space here. So let's say, I just want to show. So entrepreneurs usually are very high D, high I. Now there are entrepreneurs that are usually a high D and a high C as well, especially like the engineers that created a business based off their ability to create things and design. C is very calculative, analytical. Engineers have a lot high C. And then S is like that empathetic. Usually high S's make great customer service people. C's make great like people that need to analyze things or have processes and systems. Sam's got a lot of C. And because he's got a lot of C, I mean, literally every week he's like, hey, Mike, so you remember that thing that I told you takes like 15 hours a week to do? I'm like, yeah, I got it down to like 8. Great. The average person that's a low C is going to find a way to make that 15-hour project 20. You know, like, dude, I don't know why I'm behind on this, right? So you got to also know, like, it's important if you're going to hire for a specific role, you can't change someone's natural strength. You got to use people's unique capabilities and put them in a position where they can succeed. Can Tom Brady catch a ball? Of course he can. I'd rather have him throw it. So I'm going to put him at quarterback. I'm not going to want to make him better at catching and running with it. His natural strength is seeing all the options and picking one and going, right? And so for you guys, you don't want to develop weaknesses. 20% should be spent developing weaknesses. 80% should be developing strengths. Shaquille O'Neal, one of the worst free throw shooters of all time. No one cared. Block, don't let anybody score, get every rebound, and just dunk on people. Yeah, but coach, I want to work on threes. You work on 1 3, I kill you. Don't work on threes. You suck at threes. Naturally, you can't shoot. Give it up. Just do what you do well and practice that and get better at it, because you'll get better at that faster than you will here. So doing a DISC assessment is something we do before we even do an interview with somebody, because sometimes we'll do a phone interview first for a quick call screening just to make sure that they pass certain things. Like if you live an hour and a half away, I'm a little worried already, because usually commute can be a big roadblock for somebody sticking with you. So I'll kind of ask certain questions like that, what they're currently doing, get their vibe. Are they negative? Are they positive? Are they energetic? Are they enthused? Do they want to work for my company, or do they just want a job? And then when they pass that, which Kelsey actually does that process, once they pass that, then Kelsey, you send them a DISC assessment, right? And they have to go take this test, and it's a bunch of different questions. And then the results come in. And now that the results are in, we know what we should interview them for. Hey, I know this person interview. When we've had that, right? This person interview for an account manager, no way. But this person might be great for sales. High I, right? Sociability. High D, right? Just getting things done. A little bit of an ego is okay in sales. But with account management, where I need people to be great at customer service and being empathetic with the customer, knowing what struggles are going through and helping them and listening, and then also being able to look at all their data and being able to analyze it and make the best decision for them, not skipping over it because they don't find it valuable, or they wing it, which is what a D would do, just kind of wing it, quick decision. I want somebody that's more calculative and thoughtful and careful. And so there's no way I'm going to put that DI in an SC position and expect them to figure it out. That's unfair. I messed up. I shouldn't have done that, right? You don't have Shaq be a point guard and then expect him to get his stuff together. So once we do the DISC and we know what we're interviewing them for, then we have the interview. And we ask all the normal questions that you guys probably ask. We don't ask a lot of the cliche questions that always give us the cliche answers. What would you say is your biggest weakness? Oh, I think I just work really hard, and I need to slow it down. I donate too much of my time to charity. And it's like, oh, wow, your weakness is strength. That's pretty crazy. I think that's a wasted question. It's a waste of time, because everyone, number one, knows it's coming, and there's no real way to mess up that answer, and no one believes what they're saying anyway. It's like we're doing it because we feel like we're checking it off our list. So questions that we like to ask instead is, let's see, Joel, ready? We're in an interview. And I want you to really answer this question, because you're not immune to this, okay? Everyone here can answer this question honestly. You may not want to answer it in an interview, but everyone can answer this question. Hey, Joel, so whether at the current job that you're at or previous jobs you've had in the past, tell me about a time that you've messed up and you felt really bad about it. Are you perfect, Joel?
Nobody's ever perfect. I'm
Okay.
an accountant,
So tell me about a time that you messed up and it was a mess up big enough to feel real bad about.
I'm trying to think. There was something last week I had to apologize for. I forget what it is.
What happened?
Likely a report that was improperly updated
Why do you think that happened?
because I wasn't thorough enough.
What'd you do to fix it? Anything?
I redid the report, got the right information out.
How likely do you think it is to make that mistake again?
less likely because I'm getting more off my plate.
What do you think you could do to make it almost totally unlikely?
Probably let go even more.
Is that something you're willing to work on when you see that happen? Yeah. So I found out what his weakness is, but I also find out how he handles that weakness, and it becomes more real. Do you guys see what I'm saying? So asking questions that put a real situation as opposed to, do you find yourself to be more positive? Would your friends call you a hard worker? Like, these are things that are like, you're coaching them to the right answer. So what I will do is, I'll ask them, I wish I had do we have the marker? So yesterday, we just interviewed somebody, we hired them, which is exciting because we've interviewed like 12 people before picking somebody. We're very, very careful as to who we bring on board because I'm very protective of the culture. And it's important that we all know it's that one, right? It's that one person. So I needed somebody that is very organized and that also cares, right? Thoughtful. So instead of saying, would your friends call you organized? Would you think you're organized? Scale 1 to 10, how organized do you think you are? If I'm asking that question, do you think they think it matters? So what do you think they're going to say? Oh, I'm totally organized. First off, what I usually do, first I'll do this part, then I'll tell you what I did second. I say, okay, now there's going to be stuff on this list that doesn't matter to me, and there's going to be stuff on this list that does matter to me, but they don't know what it is. And I go, all right, so quick question. Oh, of course. I picked that one. Sam, am I notorious for picking that one in the office? Yes. Why do we even have it? We need to throw it away. All right, so I go, okay. I have no idea if I'm spelling this right. Am I wrong? I am? Can you guys forgive me? Can I keep going? Okay. Okay. So I got math, English, psychology, organization, communication, thoughtfulness, and competitiveness. If I were to get all your friends and all your family members, the ones that know you better than anyone, I want you to tell me math, meaning, man, he's just really great with numbers. I explain to them what this means, right? He's just really great at numbers. He just gets numbers. English, hey, his grammar, his spelling, his ability to put things together is just really great. Psychology, his understanding of people and what they really think and how to really understand where they're coming from and how to connect with all different types of people. Organization, his ability to have his closet organized, like polos and red shirts and his DVDs are organized and all that. Communication, his ability to communicate with others and be able to come to a resolution. Thoughtfulness, he doesn't buy a gift the day of someone's birthday and it's a gift card. He actually thinks it through for months, and he's probably got that gift ahead of time. And competitiveness, he's going to win no matter what. And even if he loses, he kind of feels like he won somehow, right? Now, your family, where would they rank number one? Let's do Andy. Andy, where would they rank number one?
What would they rank number one?
For you. I got your everyone that knows you best in your whole life.
It certainly wouldn't be organization.
Pick one. Let's go.
I would say math.
Math, 2.
Communication.
3.
Thoughtfulness.
4.
Competitiveness.
5.
Oh, organization.
6.
Yeah, it's 2 tough ones there. I would rate them both the same, 6s.
If they're at the end, it doesn't matter, right? But here's the thing. If I'm looking for somebody that Andy would make a great account manager, I need somebody that can communicate, and I need somebody that's great at math and can be analytical. 1, 2, let's keep this interview going. You see what I'm saying? And usually, the other things are the exact opposite. So his English, his grammar, maybe he doesn't write well and type well and all that and in psychology, but the math, and as long as these two are up top, I'm good to go. Then I'll dig in. So yesterday, the guy picked organization as number 1, which was great because I like that too. And I said, so you're pretty organized? He goes, yeah. And I go, pretty neat and clean and things have to be in a certain way? He goes, yeah. And I go, cool. Rob and I would like to go down and look at your car. Would you be okay with that and see how organized it is? He's like, yeah. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, let's go. I go, is it clean? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. You sure? Yeah. Sorry, I trust you. And so, but like, because an unorganized person, what do you think their car looks like? Water bottles. Now I just got a new car, so I have what's called new car syndrome, which is like everything's perfect. But my last car, I had about 10 half bottles of water, like in the backseat. Because I couldn't keep 10 in the cup holders, so I would have to make room for the ones that I think are still good. Anybody else a water bottle person in the back seat? Okay. So everybody's got their own strengths, but when you do that, now they don't know which one matters the most. They just have to pick, and then you can start digging in from there. So making sure that you're asking questions like that, and then I set expectations. Now, I'm very lucky where the room that I interview them in has a glass wall that faces the floor where everyone's working. And so I tell them to look. Anybody else have that? Wherever you interview, can they see everyone else working? Raise your hand if you have it. 1? Okay, so for you guys, you have to do it differently. Here's the way I would do it versus that. I would say, hey, so here's the thing I need you to understand. Everyone that you're about to go work with is very careful about the people that we add to the team, not just me. And they all work very, very hard out there. They all care about their job, their profession. They care about their growth. They care about this company and this company's goals. They care about each other, and they know what each other's personal goals is on a personal level as well as here in this organization. And we all make sure we get there. We hold each other accountable, and everyone on the team knows what we're here to do. That being said, if an employee were to start working here and take shortcuts, comes in late with a Starbucks, or doesn't have the right attitude, my team's going to eat them alive. They won't even see it coming. We'll know about it. The captains will know about it. It's going to get to the right people, and we're going to remove that person as quickly as we possibly can because it's wasting our time and it's causing a distraction. However, if that person adds to the culture, adds to the energy, adds to the creativity, we will also hear about it, and the right people will hear about it, and they'll be embraced, and things will move in the right direction quickly, not just for this company, but for that person and everyone around them. Now that you know that, I need you to be honest with me because we're going to find out. And there's no one here that's going to have your back or cover for you. You need to understand this. I'm serious when I say this. I'm very protective of them, and so are they. Do you feel like you can add to this culture? If the answer is no, being honest with me is okay. Not everyone's ready for this. But you're going to have a lot of expectations to work your butt off and add to this company. Truthfully, are you prepared to do that or not? Nancy, are you prepared to do that or not? That's okay. I appreciate you being honest. You shake my hand. Appreciate you being honest. Thank you so much for coming in.
Okay.
And that's it. I don't even need you to answer. You're going to take more than 2-3 seconds to answer that, we're pretty much done. Right? So I ask you, hey, we're going to have a lot of expectations. I know it's not for everybody. Is this something you're ready for? Do you think you can add to it? Or do you think we're going to find out a week later that this isn't the right thing for you?
Absolutely, I'm ready for this.
You sure?
Absolutely.
Okay. Welcome to the team. Right? And now I don't even ask that question until I already know I want to hire them. Right? Now, I already know that she will be that way, but there's a reason I have that short piece of conversation. Why do you think I do?
Commitment.
Yeah. Because now I can call you out on it. And that's another thing we talk about is I say there's 2 things that every person here needs to be great at. One of them is pretty easy for some people. Another one is pretty difficult for most people. The first one, you have to be great, and you could get great at either one. That's a choice. Number one, you have to be great at being accountable. Meaning, I don't want to hear reasons why you couldn't. I want you to accept failure. We expect it. We're not expecting you to come in here and bat 1,000. We expect failure. I need you to expect that we're going to want you to be honest when it happens. I just want you to tell me what you're going to do to fix it. That's it. So you have to be great at being accountable. Number one. That's the easy one for some people. For most people, the next one's very tough. You have to be great at holding other people accountable. Now, especially as a new person, that's scary. I don't want to tell someone that's been here for 2 years hey, we should probably stop talking now. It's time to get back to work. I'm a new person. I don't want to create a bad energy. I don't want people to not like me. It's too new. I get that. That won't fly here. And here's why. Because everyone on that team is great at being held accountable by anyone and everyone in this organization. So here's what that means, Amanda. If you were to hold Rob accountable, Rob's a manager here that's been here for almost 2 years. If you were to hold him accountable, he will take it well. You understand that? He'll take it well. You agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. And that means he'll respect you for holding him accountable because he needs that. He doesn't want to keep messing up. That's his culture. He'll like you, he'll appreciate you, and he'll think higher of you for bringing that to his attention, especially so early in your career here with us. And it'll get to me. Rob will let me know how great of a job he did by holding him accountable or anybody else in his team. Rob also knows that if he's not great at being held accountable, 2 bad things are going to happen. 1, he's not going to be a right fit for this organization. We got to let him know. And 2, you're never going to hold anybody accountable again because you saw how bad it worked the first time. So you have to be great at holding people accountable. The moment I see you watching other people doing the wrong thing and not doing it or covering for them, you are an accomplice. You are an accomplice to destroying this culture. And everyone here needs to take it well. So number one, Andy, do you commit to being held accountable and being accountable if you mess up? Do you understand that we expect you to make mistakes? Do you understand that?
Yes.
And when you do make mistakes, it's going to happen. Will you fess up to it? Will you admit it? And will you tell me what you're going to do to make it happen next time?
Always have.
Okay. And if you see Amanda messing up or anybody else on this team, are you comfortable holding her accountable? If not, let me know now because we're going to have problems later.
Yes.
Deal. I know it's crazy and you feel like it might scare people. It only scares the wrong people. But most people, they are okay with it. And then what's also really great to do is let them experience it. People hold each other accountable in the office all the time, right, Sam? You see it happen? Have you held people accountable in the office?
Yes.
You've held me accountable. And have I always taken it well? Emails that you send me. What are some examples of emails that you've had to send me, Sam? When I don't show up for videos when I'm supposed to.
Yeah. Showing up on time for meeting.
All right? And then how do I respond to those emails?
You respond well.
Like?
You understand and you say that you're always setting goals to be better.
Yep. I understand. You're absolutely right. Kelsey, you've done it too. Email me.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, you're 100% right. I'm very sorry for letting you down on this. I'm going to fix it. This is what I'm going to do. Right? Kelsey, the executive assistant, the youngest tenured employee here, the oldest tenured employee here, the owner, she emails me. She feels comfortable enough, and you kind of scolded me in that email. You're like, hey, you need to do this. She felt comfortable enough telling me what I need to do better because I'm messing up. And the only reason she's comfortable doing that a second time is why?
You responded well the first time.
And now she's like, okay, cool, I can do that. Can I get better if she doesn't? No, I just don't know what's even happening. And then what's happening? She's keeping it to herself. I'm not getting better. She's getting more frustrated. She starts looking for another place to work. And I don't know why I can't find good people. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah? Look for opportunities for this. The next one is personal goals. Kelsey, if you walk into our conference room, what's on one of the walls right now?
A million Post-it notes.
1 million Post-it notes. Probably not 1 million, but let's see, we have 12 employees times 2 times 6 months worth of, there's probably 500 Post-its, something like that. But here's what I believe. I believe that every company I've worked for in the past, and even my company the first 5-6 years, the employees were brought in to serve the company. And we believe writing a paycheck to them is our way of giving compensation for your service, right? Here's your paycheck, here are your benefits, we're square. The problem is, that's not really square. Because you're also making money, so they should make money. But there's another thing, you're also getting value to your life as the owner, right? You're, as the owner of the company, you're able to hit your personal goals. And you've learned about personal goals because as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, you've read business owner stuff. And a lot of business owner stuff revolves around setting goals and strategies to accomplish them. Would you agree? Now you take the average employee, not all of them, because there's some rock stars out there and some people that have been raised with this mentality at home or have had workplaces or friends, but the average employee out there, they don't have goals as much as they have dreams, right? Oh, I would like to have that car. Oh, I would like to have that house. Oh, I'd like to work like that. I'd like to have that type of job. I'd like to travel. But are they really setting goals and strategies to get there? Yes? Or raise your hand if you think it's no. No. Now, that's not their fault. Their friends have dreams. And their friends have lack of processes to accomplish those dreams, so they feel pretty normal. Everyone wants that car. Everyone wants to go to that island. Everyone wants to have that job. And no one's doing anything to get there except for wishing about it and talking about it, and we're dreaming together. Now, that's not fair because I'm making money, they're making money, we're square there, but I'm hitting goals because of them and they're not. Therefore, we need to really make it even. You are not only going to serve this company and me, but I'm going to serve you. And so what that means is at the end of every year, we have an annual retreat, which I'll dive into in a minute, but we were able to go through everyone's personal goals. Amanda, what do you really want to do this year? Right? And let's see, personally, forget business. Personally, what do you want to do by the end of 2017?
I want to take 2 trips.
So you already knew that?
Yes.
So that wasn't already, like you didn't just come up with that now? Good, you're a goal setter. Where do you want to go?
I want to go to London and St. Lucia.
What are you going to go by?
I have plans to go in September and August.
Okay, what needs to happen for that to happen?
I need to get my staff in order and I need to get procedures in place to make sure that everything's taken care of while I'm away.
So that sounds unmeasurable. How do we measure that it happens?
Right, and that's what I think I need to do is come up with a measurable way to say, by this date we need to have X, Y, Z accomplished.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You can't have a target that doesn't exist. You can't just throw darts and hope to hit a target. The right goal it's measurable. I know exactly what I need to do, and I have a goal date alongside of it. I know when I want to hit it. I know exactly when I hit it. Right? You don't just hit the dartboard and not have like measurements to let you know what part of the dartboard you hit. They don't say like, hey, hit the dartboard and then like if it feels right, we'll say you got a bullseye. No, there's no feeling. There's a clear bullseye. It's the small red dot in the middle. That's when I hit it. And if I don't hit that, I don't care what I feel. I didn't hit it. And if I did hit it, I don't care what I feel. I hit it. Does that make sense? So now I learned that 2 years ago, and I've been hitting goals left and right, and it's really exciting. I've hit goals, and the purpose of a goal, in my eyes, and the way I've been taught is it has to be out of reach. It can't be something that you know you're going to hit. It can't be, I want to make it to the door. Now, unless I have like broken legs, that's not a great goal. Like I'll make it to the door in 2 seconds, probably, maybe 4, right? I made it to the door. That's not a real goal. A real goal is I'm going to make it to your office running there in less than 2.5 minutes. Now, I might get there. I may not. It sounds exhausting. I don't even know if I can get to the door in less than a minute. So I already wasted a minute there. So now I have to come up with a strategy. How am I going to get there? Am I going to get an Uber? What am I going to do to get there in 2.5 minutes somehow, right? And so I think it's important to get goals outside of your reach because you get better at getting goals outside of your reach. Just like you get better at everything, right? Creativity, you get better at everything that you work hard at. And so with my employees, last December, we went to a retreat. We went to Prescott for 2 full days at a cabin. And we basically talked about all the opportunities that we saw over the year that we know we wanted to work on. We know that if we did work on, we would have moved the company forward, but it's busy. But now, during this 2-week period where it's slow at the end of the year, this is where we can start doing this. Start building these processes, start creating the ideas, and who's going to take over what in order to make this happen. And so we did that, but then everybody gets to share wins that they had. That's how we kicked it off. We shared our wins for the year. And we had people moving into new apartments. We had people paying off their credit card debt. We had people, traveling and doing the things that they set out. But I noticed that the goals weren't really goals that they started with. They just kind of accomplished those, and they say they achieved a goal, but it was never really a goal. It's kind of like just something cool that happened. And so I had said, hey, look, here's what worked for me. At the beginning of every morning, I write my goals down for the end of the year. And the end of every night, I write my goals down again before I go to bed. I do that for a reason. When I write my goals down in the morning, I start my day with intention. I don't just become a robot and flow into my day and start checking my emails and reacting to things that happen. I go, okay, I had 4 things I had to accomplish. I already got 3 down, 1 more to go for the year. And so I write those things down, and then at the end of the night, before I go to bed, I write them down again. The reason I write them down again is because I'm able to reflect on the day as I'm writing them, and I go, shit, I didn't work on that. Oh, I did it again, Faustine. Oh, man, I didn't work on this one at all. And I feel bad about it, which stays with me. And the next morning when I write it again, I remembered how bad I felt when I read it, and I'm more proactive about working on that particular one today. And it's worked like crazy. I mean, I hit 3 of my 4 goals by May this year. Big goals, really big goals. And the 4th goal I could hit financially. It's just my wife and I have a goal to go to Italy. That's the 4th goal. We want to go to Italy. But we're not allowed to go unless I'm at 10% body fat, and I think she's at 20%. I think that's where she's at now. 20% body fat, and I'm at 10%. Once we get there, then we go. So now we have to have a strategy to hit a goal, but whatever. So what I learned was this worked. And so I told the team, and I said, hey guys, this is my biggest win is not the little wins, but the strategy to get these wins. It's this writing it down stuff. So what we started implementing, everybody's got their name on a whiteboard, and it has other metrics along with it that kind of measures their day and all that stuff. But alongside of that, every day when you walk in, so if Amanda worked for us and she walked in, first thing she does is, it's like clocking in kind of. She grabs a sticky notepad, she writes her goals for the year, the ones she committed to in the beginning of the year, takes it off, puts it by her name. Then she goes to work. Then, before she leaves, clocking out is like going to that sticky pad, writing her goals for the year again, basically the same thing, putting it up. Then she goes home. Then the next morning she comes in again, does it again. When she puts that first Post-it up, she takes the 2, and from yesterday, she walks into the conference room and she sticks them on the wall where we have like all these Post-its now because they've been collecting every day times 12, 13 employees every single day, right? And so it's this beautiful thing to watch. And we hold each other accountable. We know when we are hitting our goals. Kelsey just got her house. Congratulations to Kelsey for getting her house, which is pretty cool. How old are you? 22. How many 22-year-olds are getting houses? How many? What do you think out of 100? There she is. Right? But that happens because that's been a focus of you daily. Every day. Every day. And it's easier to accomplish things that your friends don't know how you do it. Now, here's why I like that. Because now, it's not just about getting a paycheck as the exchange. I'm accomplishing things, and my friends are wondering how I'm accomplishing those things. My friends aren't. My family members may not be. And so what happens is I may, or I may not, I may inspire my friends to start doing this too, which is great because you ever hear it's important to surround yourself around people that are focusing on the same, that's just a fact. And you know that because if you had a little brother or a kid, you don't want them hanging out with a certain crowd. You already know that. So when you get older, once you pick up on that, you know it is important. I got to hang around people that are doing what I want to do better than I am. And so maybe you can influence your friends to do it, but if not, you start learning who does it, and you just enjoy hanging out with them better, and you actually get there faster. It just keeps fueling you. It's this self-feeding monster of just goal accomplishment. And now the company is serving you in such a different way because you're not just making money that's not actually getting you the things that you wish you had. You get money, you get a great support team, and you get a strategy, and you get constant reminders on how to accomplish the things in your life that actually matter to you. A paycheck doesn't matter to you. Getting your house matters to you. Going to, Italy matters to you. Losing 20% body fat matters to you. Do you guys agree? These are things that most people wish they could have or do, but it becomes this thing that never really happens. And subconsciously, they're always thinking, I got to make a change. I got to make a change. And unfortunately, sometimes that feeling is misinterpreted, and they make the changes in the wrong areas of their life, and they keep the things that are not actually getting them there. They make the change and quit the job, or leave the boyfriend, or move out of the house, or they make the wrong changes because they just feel they need a change, but the things that they should be changing are following with them. And so we want to help them with the things that actually get them there, so they never feel like I need to make a change. It's more of a feeling of, man, this is crazy. Like my friends and family, were your friends and family like crazy, like impressed when you got your house? Yeah. Now, if you were 35, they'd be like, oh, cool, congrats. When you're 22 years old and you get a house, like when I found out, I was like, that's crazy. That's awesome. Because I was very far from this. She's way more mature than I was at 22. So do you guys find the value of really getting involved in your employees' personal goals? The ones that at least are able to vocalize to you. I mean, some of them may not, but you ask them. They're not going to tell you the ones they don't want to tell you. They'll tell you about the ones they want. If somebody has a personal goal of losing 20 pounds of fat and they don't want to tell you that, they're not going to tell you. But if some of them do, but you can get there. Weekly meetings. How many of you guys do weekly meetings with your team? Raise your hands high, so I believe you. Okay, cool. And for everybody else, how many of you guys meet at least monthly? Daily? Quarterly? Annual? Never? Raise your hands if you never really meet with everyone in the company. What happens in your world? Because you're meeting and not meeting.
We're meeting and not, it depends on who you're talking about. If it's just our employee group as a group, it's probably twice a year we'll get together.
When you say probably, does that mean it's circumstantial? Like now we need to talk about something so we'll get together?
Sometimes.
Or is it set? Like we know we are meeting Fridays at 11. Okay. This is important. We meet every when? Friday at 11. That's why I said that. It was easy for me to memorize. But we meet every Friday at 11. And we do stand-up meetings. We don't sit down. We stand up in a circle, all of us, and we basically just hang out there. And it's not a long meeting. It's going to take 2 hours. Otherwise, standing would be agonizing. This is a 30-minute or less meeting, generally. Sometimes it'll go a little over. Sometimes it'll be a little quicker. We start off by going over our wins. Everyone knows that. What are the wins from the last week? Kelsey writes down those wins. She's the one accountable for making sure she writes down everyone's wins. And then we have a monitor in the office that's very visible for everyone. And there's a slideshow. And throughout that week, it keeps showing all the wins from the previous week. Just to kind of keep people proud of each other and proud of themselves. Motivates them to keep working on their own goals for the next week, right? And having more wins. So that kind of keeps cycling through. We keep walking by and we go, man, I can't believe she got the house. Whatever it is, right? Could be personal, but a lot of times they're business wins as well. Like I had this one customer, he was having a really hard time. We not only helped him, but he added 3 more locations, right? It's like, whoa, it's crazy. It's awesome. So weekly meetings start with the wins. After the wins, then we're in charge of reporting, right? So I do a lot of this, but then we'll also have like Sam report numbers on like the podcasts that we have. What kind of engagement are we getting? We have Sarah report numbers on the leads and the sales. We want everyone to really understand that because that's important for the whole company. I get it, you're in customer service, but you will do better if we sell more. So, and it's important that customer service knows what sales is doing and feeling and saying, and it's important that sales knows what customer service is doing and feeling and saying, because usually these two people in a non-communicative area or organization will not like each other. Sales hates fulfillment. Fulfillment hates sales. Fulfillment feels that these guys are just jamming people in to get commission, even if they're the wrong client, and these people feel like they're just whining and only want the layups, only the easy people to take care of, and they don't want any challenges. It's constant in a non-communicative organization. Have you guys ever worked at a place like that or seen that? Raise your hand if yes. Okay. So it's important that these two get to know each other, their personal goals, likes, all that, because they start to empathize. And our sales team and our fulfillment team get along really, really great. And the sales team knows, like, okay, I can see how that's going to be stressful for them. I'm not going to bring this client on. It's not a good fit. And fulfillment knows, okay, I think we can make this one work. I get what she's saying. Let's go ahead and see how we can make this one work. It's going to be tougher, but I think we can do it. So they find a way to compromise. They know what's far, and we shouldn't do it on both ends, but they also know, like, okay, I can work a little more for this one. I can work a little more for that one. I definitely encourage you to do weekly meetings, and I definitely encourage you set a time for it. Every week, ours is at Friday at 11. Everyone's got to be there. It's mandatory. There's no, you can't come. And if you're out of the office, you're sick or something like that, then we video conference you in for that 1 hour. But you got to be there because you got to know what's going on. This is it's that one time. Got to do it. Even if you're out of town, people on vacation tune in. Not always. Sometimes it's hard. But if it depends on the big one. If it's a big meeting, I'll say, like, Kelsey, conference him in, right? Get him in. I want them on this one. Quarterly reviews. This is something that I got to say I haven't been great at this year. And when I'm writing this, it's great because it actually reminded me that I need to do this month, actually. Now, I do my reviews a little differently. I have personal conversations with my employees. The reason quarterly reviews are done is because you need to know where they stand, and they need to know where they stand, and what's still expected of them, and how they believe they're performing. Here's a problem with quarterly reviews when done improperly. Every employee thinks that's time to talk about a raise. It's not. It's not. That's not the time to talk about a raise. That's the time to talk about ideas, your happiness. Are we accomplishing the goals together? The raise should already be kind of there should be an understanding as far as, like, number one, the employee should know where the company stands. All my employees know where we're at salary cap wise, if we're a little over, if we're a little under. Right now, we are under salary cap. We have about $4,000 available to spend on employees a month. It's not a lot, obviously. It's good for maybe 1 or 2 good employees. But usually we're comfortable being a little over salary cap because it's fine for us. We know that allows us to grow, puts pressure on us to grow, to fulfill. But they also know that we're understaffed. We have to hire. That's why we hired 1, but we're actually looking at hiring 3 more people. But the employees know that, and they know where we're at, because a lot of times in organizations, that stuff's not really talked about. And so employees think there's just money everywhere, and they don't get it. And so they go, hey, what about this raise? When am I going to get a little piece? And it's important to have this conversation, talk to them about, like, hey, look, this is where you stand. Stick with me. Trust me. This is what's going to work. Here's what I'd like you to get to. Once our company accomplishes this is what I'd like to see you doing, and we're going to take care of you. Sam, I think you've gotten 2 raises in the last, like, year? Yeah? And it won't be long for him to get his other one. He is, I mean, far surpassing what was expected of him. In fact, and I've told him this, if our company was in the position to do so, he'd already have a certain raise. We've talked about it. I actually believe he's earned a little bit more. Now, I'm going to take care of him in other areas, and he's going to get taken care of double once our company's in a position to do that. But he needs to understand that, number one, I agree with him as to where he's at, and our company, just like me, because he knows I did it. He knows that other employees do it, other leaders did it, where in the beginning, were you getting paid what your time and your effort was worth? Amanda, were you, when you first started? How many hours were you putting in the business when you first started?
60.
60 hours? Were you getting paid like a person that was getting work in 60 hours? What would you say you were getting paid for? How many hours and what kind of labor?
40 hours a week, 9 to 5.
40 hours, 9 to 5, A level, B level, C level employee type pay.
B level.
And what kind of quality effort were you putting out?
A++++.
Right?
Well, we all think that, but.
But we all know that if we want, everybody understands what success really means in our organization. The most successful people in the world didn't just take steps forward. Like, okay, cool. Now I'm worth $12 an hour. Now I'm worth $15. So I'll just get paid every time. Some people understand, hey, look, I'm going to keep proving myself and I'm going to catapult forward, right? Athletes do it. They'll take pay cuts to join a team that actually fits them better, and then they know in the long run they're going to get it in other ways or down the road. And we've done it as entrepreneurs. And it's important that you guys have these conversations with them about where they stand, because they need to know why and where things are at, and they need to be on the path to get there. Sam knows when he's going to get there. Kelsey knows when she's going to get there, but she also knows, and he also knows, a lot of it's revolving around the company's growth. And therefore, Sam is recording, and he's making the best video he can of this, because he knows if he does that, great, the likelihood of the company growing is better, which means great for the company. He's probably not even thinking himself first, but deep down he knows that that helps him. Have your quarterly reviews and use scorecards if you can. Not everyone can be measured, but let them know what's expected of them, and then make sure you have those conversations. And when you do, it's great to ask them first. You know, hey, how do you think you're doing? That's actually how we started our conversation today. How do you think you're doing? A little stressed. Why? We start talking about it, But what that allows Kelsey to do, there's 3 ways she could be. She could be not really feeling like she's really performing at the level she knows she could. She could be performing right at the level where she thinks she should be. Or she might think that she's totally overperforming. Based on that, that's going to tell her if she thinks she needs a raise or not, or step up her game, or keep doing what she's doing if she wants to stay the same. But if we start with that first, how do you think you're doing? Why? What do you think you could do to be better? And now you'll find that they kind of coach themselves through the process as to, should I get a raise? Should I hold off on this? Should I keep doing what I'm doing? Or do I need to step up? And they can articulate it themselves instead of you doing it, which is more important. It's better if they say it. And vice versa. Kelsey does it to me, Sam does it to me. It's better if we admit our mistakes versus if we tell them what they're doing wrong all the time. Semi-annual event. I said semi. There you go, Sam. Semi-annual event. So this is something that we're actually doing this summer. Me and the leadership team have already started talking about what we're going to do. So I'm ruining the surprise now for Kelsey and Sam. And I'm really nervous about Kelsey because Kelsey can't keep a secret. So here's what has to happen, Kelsey. You can't tell people you know anything. Because once somebody knows that you know what the semi-annual event is, they're going to ask you all the questions until they get it out of you, which takes about 6 seconds. So here's a semi-annual event. We're all going to take a trip to California, and we're going to stay in a house on the beach, Airbnb. We're going to stay on the house and the beach together as a team for 2 days, 1 night, be able to hang out, have breakfast with each other, cook in there. We're not going to go out for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. We're going to buy stuff at the grocery store. We're going to cook breakfast together, eat as a family, lunch, dinner, right? And then during that time, we're going to get to know each other a lot because there's a long ride. We're not flying. We're going to drive. We're going to take probably 2 separate cars, and we're going to coordinate it so that it's mixed up. We're not going to have all the account managers in the same car because they hang out all day already. We're going to mix that up. We're going to get some salespeople with some account managers. We're going to get people that don't get to talk all the time in the same car for that long ride. Halfway through the ride, we'll mix it up a little more. And we'll do that on the way back too, just to make sure everyone's got that time to build that camaraderie and get to know each other. At the last, and this brings me to the next thing, the big one, the annual retreat. This is where we rented that cabin. We learn things about people that are very personal and private. We learn things about people that I don't think they've probably shared with anybody in a very long time. And if they did, it probably didn't seem like it mattered to the people they shared it with, and it didn't really hit home. And a lot of people kind of felt alone, or a lot of people kind of felt like they found their place, and it was exciting. And now when they go to work, I know more about you. I respect you more, Andy, once I know that you've gone through stuff. Everyone's gone through stuff. Everyone's got a pretty cool story if you get to know them better. Amanda, I bet you if I got to talk to you for an hour about you and your life, I find some pretty tough stuff that you went through, right? I probably learned, if you were open enough with me, I'd probably learn that you've gone through some really challenging, there were some moments. Now, your hardest time ever may not be as hard as Joel's, right, Joel? Yours may not be in comparative. If we were going to put it up and have people vote, Joel may have like overall voted a harder time in life than you, but it doesn't matter. That's still your hardest time. It's relative. You don't know a thing harder than that. Now, maybe when something happens, that'll take second place, but right now, to you, that is the hardest time of your life, right? And we got to learn that about each other. Once we do that, I don't see you as an employee. I don't see you as a coworker. I see you as a real person. And when I see you as a real person, I'm allowing and more forgiving for mistakes because I know that happens. And I see how you've overcome them. And I know you feel that way about me too. This is a book that I recommend you read if you haven't read it yet, but it's by Mike Michalowicz, and it's called The Bumpkin Plan. This is something that I think a lot of organizations do incorrectly. Once I read the book, it changed my whole mindset. Basically, the Pumpkin Plan talks about how pumpkin farmers would actually be one of the best CEOs in the world. And the reason is because there's colossal pumpkin farmers and there's regular pumpkin farmers. Now, the regular pumpkin farmers are the regular small business owners that never seem to move forward. The colossal pumpkin farmers would make the top CEOs. The way regular pumpkin farmers, when I say regular pumpkins, I mean the ones that you buy at Walmart when it's time for Halloween and you just get those little 3-4 pounders, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? Those are the regular pumpkins. Those farmers grow a certain way. They have their sow, I think it's sowing, I think it's called, I don't know, something like that. They put their seeds down, and then once they put their seeds down, they water it, and then they wait for them to sprout. And if they notice that one is not sprouting like the others, then they'll go over, give it a little extra attention, massage the soil a little bit, loosen it up, and let things kind of come out so it can grow because they need it to grow. And they just let them all grow in this wonderful little pouch together. And then colossal pumpkin farmers, these guys that, they win the big of ribbons and all that stuff, like literally 2,000 pumpkins that grow at 50 pounds per day towards the end. 50 pounds per day in growth. And first off, in order to grow a colossal pumpkin, you don't just get a regular pumpkin seed and then do all the things to make it a colossal pumpkin. You have to start with a colossal pumpkin seed. It has to come from a pumpkin that grew to that size, evolved to that size. Do you know how much a colossal pumpkin seed costs? About $1,500. That means an ounce of pumpkin seeds costs about 10 times more than an ounce of gold. Pretty crazy, right? Now, it's a marketing ploy, right? It gets people to their stuff, and that's why people do it. It's worth investing. You don't buy like 20 colossal pumpkin seeds. You buy like a few, and then you do your best to go ahead and grow that thing and have people know more about your farm and what you do and all that stuff. That's why they do it. So you start with a colossal pumpkin seed, and maybe a few of them, and then what you do is you go ahead and plant them just like you normally do with the other ones, and then you wait. And then you go ahead and you watch one sprout. Now, once you see the first one sprout, unlike the regular pumpkin farmers that go and start loosening the soil for the others, they go and they dig all the other ones out. They take the seeds that didn't sprout yet and they dig those out, and then they pack the soil a little tighter. Instead of massaging it, they pack it because they know that this one's the strong one, has the highest chance of becoming the colossal pumpkin, and they know that it's already taking on the challenge, and if they challenge it more, it'll grow harder and faster, and they feed it, and they give it everything they need. All the attention goes to that one, everything else gets ripped away. Now, how does that affect the business? Well, your best clients come from your best clients, right? Your best clients hang out with your best clients. That's the way it is. Your worst clients typically hang out with your worst clients. Your best employees will typically come from like Rob brought Sam, right? But on top of that, I think what a lot of people do incorrectly is they look for the weak employees and then they start spending more time with them. Oh man, he's just not picking it up. Let me see if I can spend more time. And oh man, let's see. And they keep massaging it and they make it easier for them. And they find a way to make things lighter and they find a way to revolve a little bit around them and find ways to put them on a success path and all this stuff. Yeah, but what about Sarah? Oh, she's a rock star. She's solid. She doesn't need anything. She's good. She's going to be with us forever. What about Rob? Oh, Rob's great. He doesn't need my attention. He's good. And so what happens is your top employees, along with your top clients, you never really worry about. You feel like they're good, and so you let them go. The problem is they're going to get a lot better. These are your potential your leaders. your potential best clients are going to get your best clients. You should be spending more time with your rock stars because you know they have the highest potential to take your company the right way. And with the ones that just can't, if they're not motivated to make changes themselves, then your motivation's not going to get them much farther. They've got to be motivated to at least work on it. Because if not, you got to get them out. All it's going to do is suck up your time that you could be spending with who? Your rock stars, the ones that actually can move the needle in your business. Your colossal pumpkins need the most attention. And the ones that are regular pumpkins, if they don't want to be colossal, then you got to either spend less time with them. Hey, maybe they're just doing their job. That's okay. It's nothing wrong with doing your job. Nothing wrong with that. But we're not going to spend a ton of time developing you if you're not going to develop yourself, because it's never going to grow as fast as me spending time with somebody, developing somebody that on their own time is developing themselves. Way more potential here with my time. Do you guys see how that works? So read the book Bumpkin Plan. They dig into a lot further. I know I'm limited in time, so I'm not going to spend more time on it. But do you understand that concept? It's really cool, and it changed the way I spend my time. Customers aren't the most important people in your business. They don't come first. Customers are not first. Employees are first. Because if you treat the customers first, the employees don't feel like they're on your team sometimes. But if you treat the employees right, everything else will follow. Because your employees will treat the customers right, and you can handle more customers with your employees doing it than you alone. So employees are always first. And as a CEO, your customers are not your customers. Your customers are your employees' customers. Your employees are your customers. You are selling to your employees. You are servicing your employees. You are giving them a product, which is the business that they choose to work at, right? Because they can go get another job. Just like a customer can go get another vendor. You got to give them what other companies would not give them. You have to basically have great customer service and be a great salesperson, and what you're selling is the vision, right, of the company to your employees. The moment your customers are your customers, your employees are getting neglected, and it's not going to work. You as a CEO are constantly focusing on your employees. I don't even talk to my customers. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 a month I get on the phone with a customer. My employees are sold on this company and what we're here to do and what our standards are. And they take that to the customers and they handle them just as good as I would. But that's only because I've sold them on the vision of this company. I've sold them on why we are here and what we're here to do and what their opportunities are with us. And then I deliver on that sale. And not just me, but the other leaders on that team. We don't just say, hey, we're going to care about your goals and then not do anything about it. You know, we celebrated a 1-year anniversary yesterday for 2 people, which is really cool. And there were gifts for them, and we talked about what we appreciated about them, and everyone chimed in, and it was really great. You know, but these are the little things that they care about. Do you guys send birthday cards to your customers? Do you? Do you think the best companies do at least? Okay, well then you should. Okay, so if you do it for your customers, you definitely need to do more for your employees because your customers aren't number one. Your employees are number one. So James, I'll give you an example. James, he's been going back and forth back home because his grandfather was sick. So for his birthday, I gave him Southwest credit for a flight, as well as Uber credit to be able to get from the airport to his grandfather when he lands. That was his gift for being with us for a year, along with a card and a little bit of information about stuff that we cared about, and he got to read out loud, and we were all there to support. Molly, similar thing, right? So for you guys, remember, like that's the most important thing. As a CEO, you shouldn't be focusing on the customer anymore. You should be focusing on the employee and really selling the employee and focusing on the customer. They'll come up with way better ideas than you will because they're in the grind every day. And they get to hear the customers every day. But they have to know what they have to do in order to pick up on that and be able to relate it to you guys. As a CEO, your job is to develop that culture, protect the bottom line, and constantly develop. One of the things that these guys know, as I said, and this is the last thing, is I said, guys, my schedule now, Kelsey, what time are you allowed to book appointments for me? 10 to 2. What about outside of that? No. And the reason for that, I can't be an 8 to 5 CEO anymore. Because 10 to 2, I can do the things that maybe a meeting with you or a podcast or something like that, that's fine. But outside of that, I need to develop. I need to be meeting other CEOs that are doing better than me. I need to be reading. I need to go into conferences. I need to be listening to podcasts. I need to step it up a notch because what got me here won't get me there. What got me here will keep me here. And so if I'm not developing, if I'm just staying in the game, they're all going to stay in the game, and then I can't help them with their goals. I can't develop a better service that they want to buy. Does that make sense? The difference between thousandaires, millionaires, and billionaires is pretty simple. Thousandaires will always trade their time for money. Yep, if you want me to do this for you, pay me and I'll do it. And here's my time, and I'll pay me for my time. Millionaires will always look to be able to delegate time, right? Like, okay, pay me for the time and I'll make sure it gets done for you. Billionaires look to create time and make money at the same time. So they won't even take out on an opportunity unless it can make them a significant amount of money and somehow still reduce the time they're spending on other things. So for example, you own a restaurant chain, right? Let's say you're making billions on the restaurant chain, and now this organization comes to you and says, hey, we'd like to partner with you for these different live events and concerts. Why should I do it? Well, not only will it bring you this much revenue, but also our team will help you promote your restaurant so you don't have to. Great. So now I'm doing less and I'm making more. That's how the billionaires act. And it's crazy, right? But does it make sense? Thousandaires trade their time for money. Millionaires will delegate their time and get the money. Billionaires will only take on more things if it takes away time that they have to spend and it makes them money at the same time. So start thinking about how you think and start thinking, okay, how can I start implementing this in my business, even if it's in little micros to get to the macro later. Did you guys find today valuable? Yes? Did I teach you anything, or was everything I talked about already you already knew and read about? No? Is anybody here inspired to read at least one of the books that I talked about?
Yes.
Cool. Glad you came?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.